I'm Madeline Burke for the Game Day, joined today by New York-based writer Tommy Beer, and we are going to talk about NFTs or non-fungible tokens. I know you've been hearing all about these things, but they have been around for a couple of years. This year, it seems like the hype train has just really picked up, and they've reached their tipping point, especially with NBA Top Shot. But Tommy, we got to talk about the basics here. I mean, with an NFT, you're owning essentially a digital item or a piece of art, but why not just invest in an actual tangible piece of art, right? Why invest in something that is so digital?
It's a good question, and it's a common question, and I think the reason being that there's a couple advantages with NFTs. The fact that they're digitally scarce, that's a huge advantage, and also the fact that you don't have to worry about carrying them or shipping them or kind of exchanging the other items. A lot of people say you can buy a baseball card or a piece of art, but you have to ship that piece of art. You have to hang it somewhere. And then with the NFTs, they're digitally, there's a digital encryption there, so you're the only one that has it. It's easy to carry, to basically possess ownership of. So some of the pros that you may feel are with an actual tangible piece of art, those in the crypto world view those as cons because they're not as easily transferable, they're not as liquid. So that's kind of where the NFT folks will come from when they try to explain the value of NFTs.
Well, continuing with this art analogy or this art comparison, right? I mean, if you've got a Van Gogh painting, there's a very obvious difference between the actual painting and a print of it. The print looks like a piece of paper. The actual painting, you can see the brush strokes.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And the blockchain is huge because let's say your friend is a really good artist and they paint an imitation of a Van Gogh and there's brush strokes on there and it looks, if you to the lay person, they would probably, if you get a good enough artist, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. An NFT, I can see an NBA Top Shot, for instance, there's a serial number attached to that actual each NBA Top Shot. And you mentioned the blockchain. That's an immutable internet ledger, and that's key to all NFTs. That shows that there's a specific serial number associated with this specific piece of digital art, and that means I am the only one in the world that has it. I don't have to worry about paying millions of dollars for a Van Gogh or hundreds of thousands of dollars for another really top tier elite artist, and then finding out, oh, it's a counterfeit, it's a fraud. They actually painted 6 more, so now the value's lower. I know as part of that blockchain on each NFT I purchase, when it was originally created, all the previous owners, how much each previous owner paid for it, and that is part of that value because there's that digital scarcity, as I mentioned before, associated with each in particular NFT. So it takes a little while to kind of get your head used to the concept. But I think that again, as we move into the digital age and you get younger kids that are used to, when we used to, I'm in my 40s now. Some of us are a little bit older. We used to print out pictures after we had a fun weekend. Kids nowadays have never gone to a CVS. They've never, used one of those digital cameras and then got the pictures printed out after the weekend. All the stuff's on their phone. So they don't actually need to print out a framed picture to kind of conceptualize the idea of, creating memories or moments or whatever the case might be. So a lot of with the younger folks, it's maybe a little bit easier for them to kind of, get used to the concept.
And we talked a little bit about, Top Shot. We've mentioned it. It's NBA trading cards, essentially. There are a lot of different types of NFTs. This week, the Warriors, they became the first sports team to have their own NFT brand. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. They created a series of NFTs that are basically associated with their previous championships. And yes, NBA Top Shot, it kind of launched the kind of the hype train. There's about 1.5, and this is a big business, by the way, $1.5 billion worth of trading, sales and purchases over just the first quarter of 2021. NBA Top Shot was about a quarter of that. But yes, so that speaks to the fact that there is 75% more of that 1.5 billion out there. And smart players have created their own NFTs. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, these guys have made millions essentially. Just working with other digital art producers, and they've created NFTs, and we can kind of see that coming. I think it's safe to assume Trevor Lawrence will probably have something associated, some NFT, draft type content, when he gets drafted by the Jaguars. So yes, and basically Top Shot is kind of the top of the heap right now, but there's certainly once teams and venture capitalists saw all the money that hand over fist Top Shot was making, it was only a matter of time before more folks got into the business.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about the blockchain, that's a word that was really kind of made more popular or more well known with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency coming onto the scene. When you look at the future of NFTs, is this kind of a trajectory that you see being similar to what we've seen from cryptocurrency, where, we've just seen building momentum that continues to trump itself? Is there a ceiling with what we could see here?
Yeah, listen, I think it is also important to note that Top Shot value has really decreased significantly in the past month or so from its high around February. So let's not, we're not trying to paint a picture like these things are infallible. There's very high volatility, as with cryptocurrency. It can rise and fall within a day, within a week. So it's unlike, USD and gold and some other stores of value that folks put their money in. There's a lot of fluctuation in the NFT market. That being said, I do think we've only scratched the surface. I had an opportunity to talk last week a bit with Ted Leonsis, who's the owner of the Capitals and the Wizards, and Monumental Sports, which is kind of they own a regional sports network. And his big thing coming, and I think we'll start to see this more and more, and it's only a matter of time, is putting tickets on a blockchain basis. And so there's a huge advantage to that from multiple perspectives from the franchise. One, they get a piece of resale. We've talked about how that blockchain can kind of transfer ownership. So now instead of you buy a ticket for $200 and then LeBron James comes to town, you sell that ticket for $400. The Wizards don't see any of that. It's solely the person that bought the ticket. If you have tickets on a blockchain format, not only can the Wizards or the team that issued the ticket get a small percentage of that resale value, they'll also know who's willing to pay the $400 to see a basketball game, which is, information is value for them. And the other thing that he talked about was kind of, binding the two, was associating NFT with the ticket. So you actually buy the ticket and then it has a picture of Bradley Beal dunking or LeBron James shooting a three-pointer. And therefore, you can not only sell two tickets, to folks in Washington, D.C. area that want to go to Wizards game. He was saying they have a player, Rui Hachimura, who's from Japan. Folks in Japan may want to buy tickets just to have the value of, the NFT associated with the ticket. So, again, there's smart people working on it. There's a lot of money to be made, which leads me to believe that there's only a matter of time before folks really start to delve into it and figure out ways to make more money. And so, yeah, again, I think NFTs are, I'm not sure what the ceiling is. It may not be as high as cryptocurrency. And there's going to be some flops along the way, but I think people are definitely going to try to figure out how to make some additional capital.
Yeah, just like always with technology, change can be a bit convoluted and confusing, but it seems NFTs are really making a splash on the scene. And thank you so much for giving us some insight into the space, Tommy Beer.
My pleasure, Maddy.